All right, let's just get right into it. Do you ever have that payday moment where you tell yourself, okay, this time I'm going to be incredibly responsible? You get paid and you have this fleeting, glorious, maybe 11-minute feeling of being totally rich. You're a financial genius. But then, literally a week later, you open your banking app, you stare at the screen, and the money has mysteriously vanished. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're dismantling exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it without living like a monk. If you're sitting there right now asking, seriously, where did my money go? And you've quietly decided that you must just be fundamentally bad with money, I need you to stop right there. You aren't actually bad with money. What you're dealing with is a series of invisible leaks. Your money is draining away in ways that your brain isn't even registering on a daily basis. Because as our source material points out, the real problem is rarely that one massive, reckless purchase that ruins everything. No, it's death by 1,000 little swipes. It's a couple of delivery orders when you're just totally exhausted, a few quick convenience store stops for an afternoon energy drink, the subscriptions you completely forgot existed, and a random treat-yourself purchase because, well, Tuesday was really annoying. And just to put this into perspective, this isn't some personal feeling. It is a massive, widespread issue. Look at the Federal Reserve data. A shocking number of adults literally cannot even cover a $400 emergency with cash. 34% of workers are living paycheck to paycheck, and get this, that's even when the average U.S. household spends around $78,000 a year. So if it feels like your money just evaporates into thin air, you are absolutely not alone. The macroeconomic data completely validates your frustration. So here is the roadmap for this explainer. First, the disappearing paycheck. Second, redefining that 30%. Third, the joy per dollar rule. Fourth, plugging the big leaks. And fifth, systems over willpower. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly how to fix this without eating plain rice in the dirt. Okay, part one, the disappearing paycheck, unlearning bad financial advice. We really have to completely reframe how we approach saving money altogether. See, most people think cutting expenses means cutting out all the fun, so they try what I call the wallet crash diet. You know the drill, right? The no coffee, no happiness, absolutely no life plan. You suffer for 2 weeks, and then you rebound so hard that you end up spending even more money than before. That's not a financial plan. The real goal, the SMART system, isn't just about spending less overall. It's about spending less on low joy things while fiercely protecting your high joy things. That is the actual secret to cutting expenses without feeling poor. Moving right along to section 2, redefining that 30%, or lowering the math anxiety. Because when people hear you need to cut your expenses by 30%, they instantly panic. They think they have to somehow cut their rent by 30% and move into a literal closet. But that's a total misunderstanding of where your cuts should happen. You actually have 3 spending layers. You've got fixed necessities like rent and insurance, variable necessities like groceries and utilities, and then you have discretionary spending. Discretionary spending is the flexible layer. Eating out, subscriptions, random shopping. This is the exact and only place where your financial flexibility actually lives. We do not mess with the fixed costs first. Let's look at how the math actually works in the real world. Take a typical monthly income of $3,500. Your fixed necessities take up a massive chunk of that, say $2,200. Your variable necessities take another $700. That leaves a discretionary spending slice of just $600. If you tried to cut 30% of your total income, you'd be trying to slash over $1,000. That's impossible. But we only need to focus our cuts on that $600 discretionary slice. Now, the final number here is what's truly interesting. A 30% cut of your $600 discretionary spending is only $180 a month. Think about that for a second. $180? That is a highly achievable micro goal. Suddenly, saving money doesn't mean moving or suffering or canceling your entire life. It just means finding $180 of optional, unnecessary spending. The panic instantly disappears when you do the math correctly. Which brings us to section 3, the joy per dollar rule, the psychological cheat code. The crucial point here is replacing blind deprivation with a really powerful psychological tool. Because people don't actually miss the act of spending money, they miss how spending makes them feel, the comfort, the convenience, that little escape. So instead of slashing randomly, you need to ask yourself these 3 questions about your spending. 1, how much joy does it give you? 2, how much does it cost? And 3, how often does it happen? You actively rate your spending. Your target for the chopping block isn't what you love, it's the high cost, high frequency, but low joy items. Let's pit these against each other in a real world comparison. Say you have a food delivery habit happening 8 times a month. It costs you $144, but by the time it arrives lukewarm, it's maybe a 6 out of 10 on the joy scale. Compare that to a daily streaming service. It costs $15 a month, but you use it daily to unwind, a solid 8 out of 10 joy. Which one do you cut? You keep the streaming service. You cut the expensive, low-joy takeout habit. That is exactly how you cut spending without ever feeling deprived. All right, section 4, plugging the big leaks, stopping the 1,000 swipes. Now that we know how to measure our joy, let's actually locate the most common places your money is draining away. Here are the big 5 leaks that basically charge you a massive premium, mostly just for being tired. First up, convenience spending, those random snacks and quick coffees. Second, subscription creep, the free trials you completely forgot about. Third, impulse identity purchases, that classic I deserve this checkout moment. Fourth, transportation leaks, extra unplanned trips to the store. And fifth, tired food decisions, where your exhausted brain just picks the absolute fastest, most expensive meal option available. Looking at the before and aftermath is staggering here. If you have an unplanned delivery habit of 8 times a month costing $144, the goal isn't to ban takeout entirely. That just triggers rebellion. Instead, you plan it. You switch to a planned takeout night just 2 times a month. The cost drops to $36. By simply organizing your habits, you immediately generate substantial savings, effectively cutting out 6 deliveries and keeping $108 right in your pocket. No feeling poor required. And for those impulse buys, the solution isn't a rigid ban either. It's friction. We implement the 7-day delay. When you get that sudden urge to buy something you didn't plan for, you literally force a 1-week waiting period. If you still want it after 7 days, fine, you can buy it. But what you'll find is that by simply adding this friction, the emotional urge fades naturally. You completely bypass the restrictive ban and just let time do the hard work for you. And finally, section 5, systems over willpower, making your new budget permanent. To ensure these changes actually stick, I'm going to be honest with you. Relying on your own willpower alone will absolutely always fail you. We need a rock-solid, 3-step, lock-in playbook. Step 1, separate your accounts immediately. 1 for bills, 1 for spending, 1 for savings. When it's all mixed together, you never feel secure. Step 2, set weekly limits. A monthly budget of $600 feels incredibly abstract, but breaking that down to a strict $150 a week, that feels real. When the $150 is gone, you are done until next week. And step 3, enforce a 24-hour rule for any unplanned purchase over $30. And this brings us to the most fundamental truth of this explainer. Willpower runs out quickly. It gets exhausted after a long day at work, and it leads straight back to rebound spending. Systems, on the other hand, are permanent. They run on defaults. When you automate your decisions with separate accounts and time delays, cutting 30% doesn't feel like deprivation at all. It feels incredible because you finally stopped paying for things you didn't even want in the first place. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to answer for yourself today. Take a hard look at your own life right now. Which category is currently stealing your money? Is it the tired food deliveries, the invisible subscription creep, or the emotional impulse buys? Identify your biggest leak, apply the joy per dollar rule, set up your systems, and take back that 30% starting today.